So, Wallace, before we get into chatting about some questions, I just wanted to reveal something to you. I'm really pleased to tell you that our network of student radio stations across the country have been so excited about your music and what you've been putting out over the last couple of years. So, we've decided to give you a spot on our student radio class of 2023.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you.
You're very welcome. We're pleased to have you on the roster.
I'm excited. You don't even know what's coming up. This new music's really cool. It's
Oh, we
not
love
done
local
yet, but
feedback.
yeah.
Fantastic. So for those who aren't familiar with you and your music, do you mind just doing a quick introduction of who you are, where you're from, and I suppose how you'd describe your music?
Hello, my name is Wallice. I am an indie rock pop musician, born and raised in Los Angeles, and I grew up playing classical music. I played cello for 10 years, but I mostly play guitar now. Not that great. But yeah, I make some indie music.
That's a whole load of accolades. I think that's a great way to put it. It's just all in there at once. Um, so before we get into some more kind of discussing your music at large, I wanted to quiz you on something on your Spotify about page. It just simply says jazz school dropout. And obviously that's one of the many of the iconic lyrics in your song 23. So yeah, do you mind just telling me a bit about that, about the experience, and I suppose how it might have sort of influenced your music?
In high school, I was very studious. I was like third in my class, tied for third in my class for highest GPA. It's all in one ear, out the other at this point. But I was like, took school very seriously, and I really wanted to go to like a really good college, but I didn't get into the ones that I wanted. And so I went to a jazz school in New York, and I was there for a year, and I was just like, what am I doing here? I really like jazz music. I knew I wasn't going for like a jazz degree, but after a year, I was like, I'm gonna go home. This is way too expensive. Like, it's not worth it. So I am a jazz school dropout.
It's not a bad title to have. I feel like at least you tested the waters, and it's not like you've not gone anywhere. Um, so tell us more about the music then, like how obviously you play such a wide variety of instruments. When did all of that start? Is it something that's been with you through your childhood, or is there a parent's influence in there?
Um, I think my dad played piano when he was little. I've never heard him touch an instrument. My mom is not musically inclined either, but I started in just like public school in first grade, and just since then I've picked up different instruments. Like I played like recorder. It's like a required first year instrument. And then I went to trumpet for a year, and I don't recall any of that information. But then I started playing cello when I was 9, um, through middle school and high school. And I went to a performing arts high school. So that's where I learned to play classical guitar, which is a lot different than like rock guitar, but it gave me a knowledge of the instrument. And it was mostly at like my performing arts high school that uh like all my friends were also musicians. Like my boyfriend is filling up his water. I met him in high school, and he plays guitar in my band. So just like surrounded by music for a long time.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like recorder as well is just one of those instruments. Like here in the UK, it's the same. Well, it's not a requirement, like it's not a prerequisite to anything, but everyone just plays recorder in their first year of like primary school.
Yeah.
It's such a strange, like, I don't know, shared experience that you're all just sat there on like the primary school carpet and playing the recorder. Anyway, that's really surreal. So, let's talk a bit about your music then. So, your first EP, Off the Rails, came out in 2021, and earlier this year you released your second EP. So, tell us a little bit about the sort of writing process and production for each of those, because I'm assuming that Off the Rails will have been like a kind of quarantine album, a quarantine EP, dare we say it. So how has 90s American Superstar, how has it differed in terms of the writing and the production?
I mean, these two are very similar. Um, the first Off the Rails, Punching Bag was the first song on that came out. And in like literally a week from today, it's the 2 years since it came out. Just great, I think 2 years. Um, and I just made that the person who produces all my music that's out so far is my friend David Marinelli. He goes by Marinelli. Um, Professionally by Marinelli, but I just call him David. Um, I met him in middle school. He was in the band playing percussion, and I was in orchestra playing cello. So I've known him for a super long time. I was the first person he produced, and he was the first producer I've ever worked with. And we're just such close friends that we've made all this music together. But during COVID, like quarantine, it was just like me and our friend Spill Tab. Uh, we're the only two people working with him, and that's how like Punching Bag came about. And then the rest of the EP was we went up to my grandparents' house in Utah, which is like a 6-hour drive away from Los Angeles. And we brought like studio speaker or like his monitors, big keyboard, our instruments we wanted to bring, and set up like a super DIY studio in the office there or something. And that's actually how the first two EPs were made. Because 90s American Superstar was also very similarly just me and him up there, um, writing music and recording it there and then bringing it back and like fine tuning it once we're home. But I think moving forward, that kind of feels like the first chapter, and then these next songs that we've been working on this last year are kind of a step forward and like bringing more voices in to the project, not just me and him. But yeah, the first two are just in like this really random house in Utah that we made.
I love that though. I feel like so many artists have these stories about how their early work and how it was kind of for a lot of people very lo-fi, and I feel like that's what you're going to remember, for the rest of your career. I think it's lovely that you kind of, I mean, everybody has a journey with it, but that you can share it with alongside your same producer. Like, it must be really nice.
Yeah, it's really special.
I mean, I'm not sure how much you're going to be able to give away, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. Can we expect a debut album anytime soon?
I have like one more EP, and then it'll be some point next year. I don't
Exciting.
know when, but it will be.
Gosh. Okay, so you're busy then.
Yeah, right. I mean, like literally, like these last few days, there's been a lot of like Zoom meetings where it's like, okay, we gotta start these sessions up. And I was like, okay, let's go.
You're just in it. You're just in it for the ride at this point. Like, you've just got to go with the flow. So, since you're on our student radio class of 2023, it seems appropriate to ask you what you think your 2023 is going to look like. It's a very like
Hopefully, I'll go.
existential question, but
I think it's gonna be a busy year because I'm gonna go on another tour and I'm gonna make an album. So that in itself is enough to fill the year.
yeah, the calendar's fully booked.
Hopefully, I get to do some more cool things. I don't know. I have no idea. And I think that's really fun to not know.
Yeah, full of surprises.
Yeah.
And from a music perspective, are you sort of experimenting with your sound a little bit? Is that something that you're hoping to do with the album?
I think that this music that we're working on right now is a lot more like honest. Like obviously I think 23 is very honest. Like that song is just like autobiographical. But you know, like 90s American Superstar is very like charactery. There's a lot of truth within it, but these these next things are very even more so like truly me, which is cool. I'm excited.